All right. What I'm going to talk about today is being able to close a survey. Um, it's not really closing a survey, but basically, we had a person who had a fairly extensive project with multiple events, and they were sending out surveys and survey links to their participants. The problem was that sometimes their participants would respond to a survey in the wrong order. So they would fill out the 1 month survey and then go through their email and find the link for the other survey. And then they would go to the end of treatment survey and fill that out. But this person had wanted to figure out a way to prevent the previous survey from being saved or submitted if the participant has filled out a subsequent survey. And they had some interesting constraints on their project of obviously, you know, it would be nice to do this stuff as a project before it goes live because you can test these things out and get everything set up. But they've already been running this project for a while before they came into this problem. Um, so they couldn't use the survey expiration, which you can set up in the survey settings. So, the survey will expire after a certain date. They couldn't do that because um, their participants are being enrolled at different windows, and so they need to kind of have a rolling window for each survey for each participant. And then they couldn't set it. You could set the notification. I believe you could set the link to expire after a certain amount of time. But the other problem there was um, their window was 30 days, but it was like 14 days on either side of that. So they gave them like a little bit of breathing room. So we couldn't really close a survey. So my next thought was, how do we make a survey to where it's basically uh, inaccessible, like they can't save it? And I remembered a long time ago I'd done a demo where we, based on some conditional logic, we could either show or hide the submit button. So that's what I thought would be a good solution for this. Um, and then the next thing would be to figure out how to do that in conjunction with, you know, how do you know when the next event has been, or the survey for the next event has been filled out, and how to do that programmatically instead of having to do it manually for everyone. Luckily, there's a smart variable for that. So in this project, I just have set up here just 4 events. Um, there's the end of treatment event, and then the 1 month, 2 month, and 3 month. And you can see here that the 1 month is filled out. So if we go to the 2 month link, we want the 2 month link to be available. And so if I just open up the survey here, um, you can see here it says click page to start your survey. And if I click it, it'll send it as like a partial survey. Um, and the reason I did that is because once again, they had an existing survey that had, I don't know how many fields on it, quite a few. And they didn't want to have to go through and do all the branching logic to hide all the fields. So what we did was I just added a new section banner, which then just pushes it to the next page. So then if they can't submit, if they can't click next page, they don't get to see any of that. So this is what it would look like if you had a banner or had a survey that you could fill out. So let me go back to the record status dashboard and show you the end of treatment. So because we want them to be able to continue forward, we just don't want them to go backwards. So if I click on the end of treatment, you can see here in the data entry view, the data entry shows up just fine. So it's not preventing anybody from seeing, any of the coordinators for the project to be able to see the data. It's only for the survey. So if I open up the survey now, you can see here that it just says survey is no longer active for this time point. And they can't do anything about that. They can't do the whole submit button container, which contains the next page, previous page, and submit buttons. All of that functionality is now hidden. So they really have no other option but to just close this. Um, and you could add, some other information here saying just, close the window, ignore this email, that kind of thing. But this was sufficient for that person. So the way I'm doing that is, let me go to the designer here. So the first thing that I did was I had to figure out how to get the next value or to get the completed value for the next event. Because anytime you submit a survey, REDCap is automatically going to put a value here for the survey. So if you do a partial survey, it's going to be unverified. It's going to be that yellow orange color that REDCap has for the partial, and it's going to be green for the complete. But it's going to give it a value. Right now, it doesn't have a value because it hasn't been saved. So the way I can check for that is using this smart variable called next event name. So if I go to the smart variables here, so this can be used for, obviously it's longitudinal only because you don't have events in a classic project. But basically what it does is it gives you access to the next event, any variables of the next event. If you just want the name of the next event, you can just use that next event name. But if you want a field value from that, you just have to put the field name after it in brackets. And that allows you to get that value back. So using next event name here, I have next event name survey complete. And survey is just the name of my form. So it's just survey complete. Whatever the name of your form is, it's that name underscore complete. And what I'm doing is I'm just doing a simple calc text. That's a way to get a calc function because the calculated fields only do numbers. But if you have text, use the calc text action tag, and we have videos on that. So all I'm doing is I'm just grabbing that value from the next event name. And then I'm also hiding it so that way it's not shown anywhere. And then for the banners, I'm just using simple branching logic. So I'm just saying if this field, which I called next event survey status, I'm saying if it's not null or not empty, then I want to show this banner. Because if it has a value, that means somebody has submitted a survey. And so if somebody has submitted a survey, a subsequent survey, I don't want this value to show up, or this, I want this banner to show up. I don't want the survey fields to show up. And then the opposite of that, basically, if it's empty, meaning that there's no value, so that survey hasn't been filled out, then I don't want it to show up. Or sorry, I want that banner to show up. I don't want the other banner to show up. So that's the two banners, and then here's just the section heading for the survey, and I just put everything behind that section heading so that way it doesn't show up. So that's showing, that's basically how to get these banners. And let me go to another record here so we can see both of them at the same time. So that's how we get these banners. And then you can see that the next page, the survey container or submit container is there. Now to get that survey submit container to show or hide, I'm using JavaScript. And I always go in here to the inspect and I'll just check what is being selected here. So if I select this, should be, or actually, let me do the button here. That makes it easier. You can see here that there's a survey submit table that basically is this entire container. And so rather than try to show or hide a button, or have to write code for the next button, the previous button, the submit button, that kind of thing, I'm just hiding that entire container here. So what I do is I grab that information here, and you can see it says tr.survey_submit, and then I build code around that. So here's the code that I have, and I'll make it bigger so we can all see. And it's really simple because what I'm doing is I'm taking this next event survey status input, which is the field that you don't see, And I grabbed that from the inspector as well. And I'm saying if this has a value greater than 0, I want to change. I'm actually adding a CSS property, style property to it. And I'm saying I want to set the display to none. So if I go back here and we get into the survey submit here, you can see here that the survey submit display is called table row. So if I change it to none, it disappears. So it's still there. It's still being rendered on the page, but the display is just not being displayed. And so what I'm saying is if the next survey has a value, set this to none. And if it doesn't have a value, then I'm just putting this back to table row, which, then it pops up here. So that's all I'm doing. And this is on the window load function. And what I do is I just grab this and I put it in the external modules. So it's the JavaScript injector. And to enable the module, you would just click here on enable. And then you search when this loads up. It's not going to pop up here because it's already enabled, but you would just type JavaScript. And if it popped up like this, you would just click enable. And then once it's enabled, then you have to configure it. So I just have it configured here. I just have enabled. This is where you paste the code. So all of this would get pasted in this little box here. And then you can limit it to whatever pages you want. So right now all I have it is set for the surveys, and then I just have it injected on that survey instrument. If you have multiple surveys that you wanted to have this applied to, you would just leave this blank and you would just have this set to surveys. So then we save that and we're good to go. So now anytime they have a survey, it checks the next survey. And the nice thing about it is when you have, you don't even have to worry about the last survey because there's no subsequent survey. So it doesn't, I was worried that the next event name smart variable was going to complain if it was looking for something, and there's no next event, but it just ignores it completely. So that's nice. So this will check the following event, and that'll check the following event and the following event. You could have it set if you needed more complicated logic. For example, if we were to fill out this end of treatment survey, if we wanted to check the 1 month, 2 month, or 3 month, then you would have to write more complex logic that would check those future events. Right now, it's just checking the next event. There are other smart variables where you could specify an event name, and then just have it, you would say, instead of it just being next event name, it would be you would actually use the event name for the event in your event section here. So you would use this end of treatment arm 1, 1 month arm 1, 2 month arm 1, 3 month arm 1. It would be like, it'd be like that. So instead of using the next event name smart variable, you would actually have to hard code this for each one of your fields, because you would check that one, and then you would check the 2 month, and then you would check the 3 month. And it would be, there's more to this than, but this just to show you how you would have to label these fields as you went through the branching logic. And the same thing in the designer here, you would have branching logic that would check the, instead of it just being the next event survey status here, you would have, if 1 month complete is this, or 2 month complete is this, or 3 month complete is this, then you don't want to show. So that's pretty much it for that one. Does anybody have any questions?
Very cool.
Very nice solution.
Yeah, and I liked it because it's something that can be thrown on a project pretty quickly, and you don't really have to mess with any of the other if your survey is already set up, it doesn't interfere with any of that interactivity.